Hi guys, today I am back with an absolutely crazy video. I am going to tier rank and do quick reviews of the last 100 thrillers I have read, which spans this year and last year. And yeah, we're just gonna dive into this. I will not be able to give synopses of all 100 thrillers, of course, because we'd be here for like 4 hours, but I am going to give quick reviews of why I do or don't recommend them. So the categories for this, we have wow, which is the 5-star amazing, I love this. Highly recommend, really strong reads, definitely recommend these as well. Good, these are ones that I would recommend on specific, if I had a specific like niche or something I was trying to fit, like these were definitely good, solid, I don't regret reading them, I enjoyed them. These were ones that were they just kind of fell short. They weren't my favorite. They just kind of were like, okay, I wouldn't reread them. I wouldn't recommend them. And then the last category is DNF/disliked. These are the ones that I really didn't like. We're talking 1 stars or I DNF'd them. So our first book is All the Missing Girls by Megan Collins. It's kind of cut off, but I really disliked this. The only reason I actually finished this book was because I was getting points for my team on a readathon, otherwise I would have DNF'd it. The timelines for this were super messy, it was all over the place, I really didn't care for it. A Killing Cold by Kate Alice Marshall, I'm gonna say highly recommend. This was a super gripping, chilling winter thriller out in the middle of nowhere, crazy like rich family drama, past secrets. I really enjoyed it. An Anonymous Girl by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekina. Yes, so many of these. I have so many by Sarah Pekina and Greer Hendricks in this because I've been on a kick with them and Alex Finlay this year, so you're going to see a lot of them. I would say highly recommend for that one. As the Wicked Watch by Tamron Hall, I ended up DNFing this. There was just not much happening. We were over 100 pages in, and it just, the author who writes this is a reporter, and I just felt like there was so much detail. It felt like reading a newspaper article rather than like a story. Like it just felt so detail heavy that I got just really frustrated and I ended up DNFing. Lisa Unger's Angel Fire. I really enjoyed that. I'm gonna say it was like a high 3 stars for me, so I'm gonna put it in good. Definitely interesting, a little bit more mystery. It's about this girl's body who's found under a church and her friends who maybe has something to do with it. Very interesting. Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. Absolutely a wow for me. I read that in like a day. The ending is still seared into my brain. In general, Alice Feeney, I really enjoy her work. I think she's an excellent, crazy, fun writer to read. Same with Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. This one is intense. In fact, everything by B.A. Paris is like a really crazy, intense psychological thriller, but if you enjoy that kind of work, I mean, there are still scenes from Behind Closed Doors that are like absolutely just stamped into my brain, like I'm never gonna forget, because they were so crazy. So definitely a very crazy domestic psychological thriller. As with all of these, I would look up trigger warnings potentially because there's definitely some dark content, but Behind Closed Doors was definitely pretty crazy. Christmas Presents by Lisa Unger. I'm gonna put that in highly recommend. I really enjoyed this. This was like part mystery, part thriller. It takes place during Christmas. Our main character is like a bookseller, so it actually had some really cozy scenes at the bookshop, but someone's leaving her Christmas presents and it's like really creepy. It's tied to her past. It's super interesting. Cold to the Touch by Carrie Hakoda. I'm gonna say highly recommend. Again, a fantastic winter thriller. Super creepy. It takes place in Alaska. There's like a spree serial killer. It's told from the perspective of a detective in part, but I felt like they did a really good job of still having like a strong emotional connection to the characters. It didn't just feel like this like distant legal character we're reading from. Like I felt invested in their story as well as the actual like mystery of what was going on in Alaska in the town. So I really enjoyed that. Ooh, this is hard. There are so many. Okay, let's like knock out a few that I'm looking at. So The Many Lives of Veronica Hawkins, I did DNF. This just felt like a drama. Like nothing was really happening. Yeah, I didn't really enjoy it, unfortunately. Never Lie by Frida McFadden. I'm debating between and I'm gonna put Frida McFadden is like the most bingeable writer. Her style of writing is very easy to consume. It's very fast-paced. Like she has pacing down very well. But there were so many plot holes in this that did not make any sense. And I was just like, wait, what? And on Earth, and like if you think about the ending and then go back to what was happening during the book, like I was like, this doesn't make sense. So I personally wasn't a big fan. I think I've kind of given up on this author, honestly. Ooh, okay. Cross My Heart. I read that one recently. Highly recommend. Fantastic domestic psychological thriller about someone who receives a heart donor's like heart donation because they needed surgery, and they connect with the husband of the woman who had passed away and donated her heart to them, and she wants she has his wife's heart, and now she wants his heart. She wants to kind of take her place. It's really creepy, but it was really good. And there were several moments where I honestly was shocked. Honestly, the more I talk about it, I'm like, should I put it in the WoW? I don't know. I don't know. Everyone is Lying. I read that recently. Great premise. Started off strong, but the ending was just so lackluster, and I just didn't care that much about the characters. And I was just kind of like, it was just okay. It was just okay. I wouldn't really recommend it personally. Everyone Was Watching. Fantastic. It's like a game show kind of crazy, like popcorn thriller. I loved it. Super fun, super fast paced. Loved that one. Ooh. It's like overwhelming to look at these because there's so many on here. Okay, The Teacher by Frida McFadden we can easily put in the DNF. I didn't DNF it. I wish I had DNF'd it. I strongly dislike that. It was like one of my least favorite books I read last year, The Teacher. So, I mean, you know going into that book that there's going to be some kind of student-teacher relationship, or at least one that's hinted at, but this like kind of glorified it, and then there were some things that made like absolutely no sense at the end. So same kind of criticisms for Frida McFadden in that book, but it just was like even worse with the subject matter, so that one definitely not for me. One Dark Night by Hannah Rochelle. I'm gonna say, ooh. I don't know. I'm gonna say wow. The ending for this really stunned me. I was completely fooled by like a red herring. It was intense. It's right up like with a Halloween party with teens in the wood. This one is an ARC, so it is coming out I think in August this year. So it's not available yet, but I would really recommend it because it was amazing. I loved it. It's my second Hannah Rochelle, and I will continue to read from this author. So creepy. Daughter of Mine by Megan Miranda. We're gonna put that in the WoW. I really enjoyed that. Actually, I think this one was Missing Girls is by Megan Miranda too, so that's actually kind of funny. But it just goes to show you, I feel like, especially with thrillers, I feel like my opinion can be very polar, like it's either great or it's not, like because of the twist or lack thereof or the ending. I feel like that can quickly like make or break a thriller, so I feel like my reviews are more like polarizing for it. Confessions on 745, I'm gonna say like a very strong good. I would very much recommend it. It was a really good read. Just keep that in mind. We're looking at good, highly recommend, and wow. Those are all books I would recommend. My favorites, of course, are going to be in the wow and highly recommend, but the good is still definitely like these are 3.5 and up. I would recommend them. Darling Girls by Sally Hepworth, very much recommend. This was dark, this was intense, this one involves a lot of child scenes, so please keep that in mind. Again, I mean, just look up trigger warnings in general for thrillers, I would say, but that one definitely was pretty brutal, but it was fantastic. Really, really great book. Like Mother, Like Daughter, I'm gonna say good. That was a really strong mother-daughter thriller where the daughter is very different from the mother, but is she really? And like the mother goes missing, and it was super good, super interesting. I really enjoyed that book. Look in the Mirror by Catherine Stedman. Oh wow, that was a wow. I read that. I still remember the scene where you understand why the title is what it is, and it takes place on this like remote, I think, tropical island. The character's like father has passed away, and there's this home that he had that she had no idea he owned, and she's discovering all these secrets about him, and there's this hidden room in the house that she can't get into. I'm not gonna say anything else. All I have to say is just read that book because it was so good. Midnight, I DNF'd that. I was just really bored. I don't remember a whole lot about it. I think it was like a cruise ship kind of thriller, which normally would be my thing, but I was really bored. So I ended up putting that aside. Do What Godmother Says. Wow. Wow, okay, I just read that for a reading vlog recently. I'll link that above. Knocked my socks off. We're talking a Harlem Renaissance artist point of view, and then a point of view from someone in the present who is looking at the painting from that artist Estelle, and Godmother is terrifying. This was so gripping and intense, both physically and psychological danger like happening, and it was just so crazy. I loved both points of views. I wish I could reread it for the first time. I loved it so much. I highly recommend. Every Last Fear by Alex Finley, I'm going to say definitely very much recommend that. Pretty Dead Queens, I unfortunately DNF'd this. Now I will say I do not read a lot of YA thrillers, and I think this one was more of a, I think it's a good book, but I don't think it was the book for me. So keep that in mind. If you're someone who regularly enjoys like YA thrillers, I think you would actually really enjoy this book. But I don't typically read YA. I was just this one just sounded interesting, so I wanted to try it. It was kind of just a mismatch. So I'm not really reviewing the book because I don't think I can give an accurate review of it, if that makes sense. So for me, I didn't personally like it, but I would say don't let that stop you. That's Not My Name. Okay, I gotta say, wow. So that one actually is, I think, a YA. And again, this one, I still remember the moment the title clicked. I remember the shock I had. This one involves a girl who disappears, and she doesn't have, there's a girl who, there's like two points of view you're following. One is a young teenage girl who doesn't remember who she is, and her father picks her up, or so she thinks he's her father. And the other one is this young man in high school, I think he's like 17 or so, and his girlfriend walks out of his car one night, never to be seen again. Everyone looks at him suspiciously, but he's determined to find her because he didn't do anything to her. So good. I couldn't put it down. House in the Pines by Anna Reyes. I'm gonna say highly recommend. This one in particular uses a trope that terrifies me. I can't tell you what that is because it would spoil things, but it was really good. A little more slow burn, very like character kind of study heavy, but super gripping. Ooh, what do we have here? The Ski Resort. I read that as an ARC this year, DNF'd it. I'd read like a third of it and like nothing had happened, and I was just really bored. Like it had a really promising start, but I was getting bored. Oh, The Trap was one of my favorite books last year by Catherine Ryan Howard. In fact, where is the other book by her that I read? The Nothing Man. I'm gonna say also, oh, I'm really tempted to put in WoW. I don't know. I'm gonna put it, yeah, it's gonna make WoW. Both of those books by Catherine Ryan Howard, actually the first book I read by her, I didn't actually end up loving as much, but these two were phenomenal. Like both involved actually like serial killers, super interesting, close family relationships, so fascinating. Ooh, okay. What the Nanny Saw was good. It's not super memorable to me. But it was like a fun read. I enjoyed it. Radiant Heat was just I loved the atmosphere. This involved a lot of wildfires and a character surviving a wildfire, which was very thrilling. But the actual character herself, this is one you really would want to like the character, kind of the way the plot is set up. And I couldn't stand the character. She was so terrible to everybody in her life. I could not stand her. I finished it, but I wouldn't personally recommend it. Listen for the Lie, I'm gonna put in highly recommend. We got podcast element, which I love. We have like a cold case being solved years in the future with someone coming back to their hometown. Both tropes I love. The Hollywood Assistant, very, ooh, I'm gonna say good. Very good. It was very good. Like it's very close to highly recommend, but some of these here are definitely just a notch higher. But very like much about a person who becomes kind of obsessive about this couple that she's an assistant to, and they're Hollywood stars, and it's like, again, like kind of rich people drama behind the scenes of like a perfect couple, quotations. Same with The Maid's Diary. This one again is it's just super, super gripping. I'm gonna say highly recommend that one. I also read Unquiet Bones by that author recently. The Unquiet Bones, this one's more mystery, a little more slow burn. more mystery thriller, whereas The Maid's Diary definitely felt much more of a pure thriller. But I'm gonna say The Unquiet Bones was definitely good. I really thought it was a solid mystery. I was definitely interested. The main character is actually a detective who is pregnant, and it's very interesting to see her perspective on like life and death situations, because she's extra aware of like the preciousness of life because of her like currently being pregnant. So it's very interesting in that perspective. So I liked the characters. I thought the mystery was good. The Girl on the Train, I know this one's gonna be a little unpopular. I just thought that was okay. Like, it was fine, but I felt like there was so much detail. Like, we could have shaved off like 30-40 pages and it would have made the story like so much better with the pacing. So for me, it was really a pacing issue. We Love to Entertain was good. Lots of home renovation drama, couples being like filmed their home renovators for like a big TV show, so think like social media drama, which I thought was super fun. House of Glass, absolutely, I highly recommend that. Ooh, I almost want to put that in WoW because that one was... Ooh, I might have to go back to a few of these. We're gonna see. Sleep Tight. Oh my goodness, that one absolutely, my mind was blown. Definitely dabbles into the horror side, so it is very intense. Again, a serial killer case that's being solved, and it is just so intense and creepy, and you can tell with the cover, so intense, but a fascinating read. This would be perfect for like Halloween if you're looking to scare yourself silly. Famous Last Words, I'm gonna say highly recommend. That was by Gillian McAllister. Super gripping. I read it in like a day or so. It was very fast-paced, really interesting, went different directions than I thought it was gonna go. I was invested in the characters. I really can't ask for much more from a book. That's what I'm looking for. I Can Be a Better You. I think I have to put that in WoW because this one has gripped me. It's about a woman who's very unhappy with her life, and she begins to kind of stalk her new neighbors who are like this perfect couple and family. She begins to emulate the wife, and it is so psychologically disturbing and strange and uncomfortable, and I can't tell you some of the other reasons I liked it because it would spoil things, but it was really unique. Like, I read that I think last summer and it still has stuck with me. The story is really fresh in my mind still. Kill for Me, Kill for You, absolutely a wow. That one, my mind was just, by Steve Kavanaugh, that one is, oh. Reading from multiple points of views, and one of them is where these two women who are strangers agree to kill for each other, and that's the title, and it's just, you know, it's a thriller. Things go wrong, and it is extremely gripping, and I loved that book. The Married Man, I would say, by K.L. Slater was good. Again, I don't think it was groundbreaking. I wasn't like shocked by a ton of things, but it was really entertaining. I had a fun time with it. The Resort was a DNF for me. That's actually the only book of the month book that I've gotten with my subscription and didn't enjoy. I felt like, again, very slow paced. I don't think I really loved the characters, which was a shame because the setting was perfect, but I DNF'd it. The Night Shift by Alex Finley. That is my favorite Alex Finley, and I strongly recommend it. That one, still, my mind, like, there were so many things that really got me in that book. I think Alex Finley does, like, crime thrillers really well. There's usually some kind of, like, serial killer involved with his stories, and I thought that one was really, really good. Ooh, The Perfect Ones, I think I DNF'd that one. I definitely didn't like it. I don't think I finished it, but I definitely didn't care for it. It was about this social media influencer trip to Iceland. There was like a missing influencer. It sounded super interesting. I do like influencers and thrillers. I think the social media elements can be super scary on their own, and this one just didn't do it for me. I just was kind of bored. It was kind of lackluster for me. Let's see. You Know What You Did. This one was highly recommend. This one, the main character has OCD. Her type of OCD involves fears around contamination. So I just want to point this out because it was extremely hard to read some of the scenes, not only because the character was going through a lot and was very distressed, of course, but you're also reading these scenes about like dirt, germs, bugs, like very grisly descriptions. So I would just warn you about that. But this one was a really interesting look at a young woman who, her and her mom had immigrated over to the United States, and her mom was still understandably going through a whole lot because they had escaped from like a war zone. So she had a lot of trauma in her past, and this unfortunately has passed on to her daughter in some ways, and she is starting to lose it after her mother passes away in some ways. So it's a very, I'd say, psychological thriller, very much like a character study, more slow burn, but very, very fascinating and very good. The Return of Ellie Black by Miko Jean. I absolutely loved that. It's, again, a really standout thriller for me last year. This one involves a young woman who goes missing, and then one day she is found like a year later in the woods, and she won't say anything about what happened to her. Super fascinating. I really loved that. Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. I'm gonna put this in good. I've loved a lot of Riley Sager's, but this one was just kind of like good. I would recommend it. I think it was a good read, but it's not one that I'm like screaming from the top of the roof like from. Like Lock Every Door by Riley Sager, absolutely. That one blew my mind. But Middle of the Night was more just like, this is good, I liked it, I would read it if it sounds interesting, but it wasn't like a knockout for me. Not a Happy Family by Sherry Lapina. Again, really, really good, solid thriller, crazy like rich family drama. I'm gonna say it was good. It's one I like, if you enjoy that kind of setup with your plot, I would check it out, but not my all-time favorite from her. Family Lies by Angela Henry. Okay, so I read this for an ARC reading vlog this year, which I'll link above, and I think I gave it 4 stars in the vlog, but the more I think about it, because my mind is still thinking about this, the more I'm like, I should have given this 5 stars. So good. We have a librarian who's hired to be like a personal librarian at this rich family's estate to take care and like catalog their library collection, but she discovers that there was a librarian there before her who mysteriously vanished, and there's also a lot of secrets kind of around the main man of the house, and it's, oof, it was really good. So the more I think about it, it's like one of those thrillers that I so enjoyed it when I read it, but the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I need to give that a 5 stars. One Perfect Couple by Ruth Ware, I'm gonna say highly recommend. I liked this. It was like a reality TV show on like an island, remote setting, very fun. You Are Not Alone by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekina, and The Golden Couple by the same 2 co-authors. The Golden Couple was absolutely a wow for me. I mean, perfect, like the title suggests, this is this golden couple you're looking at, and you're seeing the cracks in their perfect relationship, and oh, so creepy. You Are Not Alone, same thing. This one's more like a friend-based domestic psychological thriller, but it is creepy, and ooh, that definitely did it for me. Let's see what else we have. The Night of the Storm, I unfortunately didn't love this. I don't remember the specifics, it's been a while since I've read that. I love the setup. This family's trapped in like this big home with flooding and everything going on, so we have like physical danger, but then there's a lot of like emotional, psychological distress because family is not getting along, and yeah, everything about the setup was amazing. I loved the main character, but I felt like some of the plots just didn't hit right. I felt like some of the subplots were okay. I felt like the ending was just okay. Like, I just didn't love it. I really wanted to, but it didn't quite happen for me. These 2 were actually these 3 were, I think, were DNFs. So that's The Sleepwalkers, Vacancy in Room 10 by Serafina Nova Glass, and The Weekend Reunion. These were just, I just wasn't getting into the plot. I was trying, like, if a thriller can't like suck me in, I feel like when I'm looking for a thriller, I'm usually looking for fast pace, or if it's more slow burn, I really want that big payoff, but I really want to be invested in the character I'm reading behind. That's kind of my rule of thumb with them. And these 3 just didn't have characters I was really rooting for. I felt like the plot was kind of just not going anywhere. I loved the idea for the Vacancy in Room 10, but that just didn't, no, we didn't get very far into it. I didn't love it. The Death of Miss Westaway by Ruth Ware, absolutely wow. A little bit more mystery centric, But we're kind of looking at a rich family inheritance drama. We're looking at a con artist who's kind of making her way into the family, trying to maybe get some of the inheritance. We're looking at the death of this Miss Westway and creepy events on the estate. Phenomenal. The main character by Jacqueline Goldis, I would say highly recommend. It's such a unique concept. It involves authors and writing. It involves a character's dark secrets and kind of confronting her past, being forced to do so while on a train. So she has nowhere to go. So that was fascinating. The Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley, absolutely a wow for me. I loved this. This takes place on this like exclusive luxury resort. We're reading multiple points of views. Classic Lucy Foley. I still remember so many parts of the ending and just like the legends of like the birds and these creepy things going on. Absolutely phenomenal. I would really recommend that. Ooh, there are so many on here and I'm just, okay. The Reunion, I DNF'd that. That was an arc. I didn't really love the characters. It was these friends who were like coming together for a reunion after all this time. Nothing was happening. Didn't really care about the characters. I just didn't really like it. If Something Happens to Me by Alex Finlay, I'm going to put that in highly recommend. Again, a very like kind of crime centric, like solving it many years in the future. Super fascinating. Like the main character's girlfriend disappears while they're in the car together, never to be seen from again, and her car is then found many years later when he's in college. But there's two strange men who are found in the car deceased and a letter saying if something happens to me addressed for him. So good. The New Couple in 5B by Lisa Unger, absolutely a strong recommend. If you like The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley or thrillers or mysteries that have a very central location that's like almost a character in the story because it's so creepy and like such a big part of the plot, I would say that's a really great one. That was my first Lisa Unger and I've been hooked ever since. The Night Side involved, again, kind of a con artist plotline where the mother was a con artist and brought her daughter, who's the main character that we're later reading from as an adult's perspective, into her crimes, and now the town just like hates her guts. She's returned home, her mother is missing. Fascinating. I really enjoyed that. Girl Forgotten by Karen Slaughter. That one messed with me. Karen Slaughter, as you would assume from her name, is a very brutal writer, very violent graphic descriptions, but it's always done with purpose. Like I don't find it to be overly gratuitous or just there for like shock value. I feel like she really does it to drive home a more serious point, and this one really accomplished that for me. The Sister-in-Law, I'm gonna say that was good. That was an arc I read earlier this year. I think it came out in February. Basically the sister-in-law comes after the husband's death and she's never met the wife. The wife's never met her and she moves in with her because she's kind of going through a tough time and the wife can't get rid of her. Like she's like just ensnared in her life. Count My Lies, I'm gonna say that was a highly recommend. I read that last month. Super fascinating. We have a main character who is a liar. She lies and gets a job as a nanny to this pretty well-off family with a small girl, and there might be ulterior motives as to why they've hired her. That's what we kind of find out. The Unwedding, I believe I DNF'd that. I did not like it. I remember that. I remember mostly thinking that the person we're reading from, her perspective, she was basically going on this trip on her own because her fiance dumped her, so she went on her honeymoon alone. There's a wedding at the resort while she's there, of course, that kind of rubs it in her face, and a murder happens. She gets involved, but I just felt like the characters were really uninteresting, like the side characters as well. I felt like a lot of things didn't really line up. I just wasn't that engaged with the plot, unfortunately. 9 Lives by Peter Swanson, absolutely a wow for me. This one shocked me in several ways. It's kind of like a and then there were none sort of thing where this list of 9 people who are seemingly unrelated are being murdered one by one. And it's really, really creepy. They're Vicious Games. So this one was a YA. I'm going to say this was good. This one involves a really creepy, like to the death kind of game between these young women who are competing for money and like status, and it's super crazy. It's very, there definitely needs some like, you need to just suspend your disbelief a little bit, but it was definitely a really good read, and I do remember liking the main character and really rooting for her, so I enjoyed that one. The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins, I'm gonna say that was good. Don't remember a lot about it. Same with The Younger Wife by Sally Hepworth. This is again where a man is going to be marrying a younger wife. His daughters are about the same age. They're not happy about it. They're suspicious of her as being like maybe a gold, I was gonna say a gold miner. I don't think that's the term. A gold digger. So very like domestic psychological thriller. It was good. It was a fun read. I would check it out if it sounds interesting to you. I feel like Sally Hepworth for me is a very bingeable writer. It's never like my all-time favorite. Like I've never given her 5 stars, but I've always really enjoyed anything I've picked up by her. In fact, I think I have one more from her. Maybe I don't. Let's see. No One Needs to Know. I was so excited for this one because it involves this rich neighborhood and these secrets from an anonymous forum being leaked, which sounded so tantalizing, and it fell so flat. Like it was like lacking drama, and all of the little twists for who was like this person, like when you connect the secret to the individual, were really like obvious to me, and I was just like, okay. So I ended up DNFing that one. The Woman in the Window, that was a highly recommend for me. Super, super gripping. We have a woman who's basically struggling with agoraphobia. She watches her neighbors a lot for entertainment. She witnesses something that maybe she shouldn't have, gets involved in it. I love it. I love a nosy kind of person for these. Really fun. What Happened to the Bennets? I did finish it, but I really disliked it. The first half of it, fascinating. This family is basically being like kind of hunted down. They don't know what's happening. They don't know what happened to the Bennets. The second half of the book's kind of explaining why this is happening, but it went from like making sense to being this really thrilling read, and then to the end conclusion and the explanation, and it was like all over the place, and I was like, this makes no sense. This was just, it was too out of like left field for me. I didn't really like it. Be Careful What You Wish For was just kind of eh. Honestly, this felt like a little bit more of just like a neighborhood drama. There wasn't enough plot and like twists and intensity for it to be a thriller, in my opinion. It was just kind of okay. It was fine. You Can Trust Me, again, this one isn't one I would like go out of my way to recommend. We had like a cruise ship with friends on it. Secrets come out. You Can Trust Me. A setup that I normally really love, but it just was kind of lackluster. It was fine. It was fine. I feel so bad. Like, I hope none of these authors watch it, because I'm never trying to, you know, put down anyone's writing, because I know they put their heart and soul and so much time into these books, but of course not everyone is going to like every book, so I'm just trying to share my opinions in case you have a similar reading taste to myself. Oh, The Wife Between Us by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekina. That was the first one I think I read by those authors, and my mind is still blown. I think I read that in January. Absolutely phenomenal. That one and The Golden Couple have been my 2 favorites. It's just so good. And You're Not Alone, amazing. And then An Anonymous Girl, obviously still was very, very good. Probably the weakest in my opinion, but still very good, like high 4 stars. You Can Trust Me, this was good. This was kind of like a fun, zany friendship summary thriller about these 2 girls who are trying to like con money out of these like wealthy men. It was good. It wasn't like the most notable like crazy read like I'm gonna, you know, be thinking about in a few years from now, but I definitely had a good time reading it. Safe and Sound by Laura McHugh, absolutely, I think I'm gonna put highly recommend. Very strong story about, I think it was 2 sisters, and one of them goes missing when she was like babysitting the younger sister, never to be seen from again. There's like blood in the kitchen, and people imagine that she's probably passed away, but there was never a body found. We figure out what happened years later when the other sister is grown up. It also talks a lot about small town dynamics and how it's hard for young women to like escape, and they have very strict expectations on them to just kind of, you know, marry young, continue to like reproduce in the town and stuff, which is okay if that's what you want, but there's like a lot trying to bar them from actually leaving and maybe pursuing like higher education. It was kind of a look at that, and that was really interesting. You're Invited, just kind of I didn't actually finish the whole thing. It was a DNF. There were some things that were redeemable about it. This one's kind of like a revenge story, but I didn't like the main character enough to pursue it, and yeah, just didn't really care for it. Oh, You Will Never Be Me, my Jesse Q Satanto, absolutely wow. tropes. Pretty much everything I read by Jessie Cristanto, which, whether it's a cozy mystery or a thriller, I have adored from her. She is such an amazing writer. This one involves two influencers, one who helps the other one grow when she's much smaller, and then that one surpasses her and leaves her in the dust, and she is kind of looking for some revenge. She's not very happy about that. Her one mistake, I'm gonna say good. This was a interesting read. It was entertaining. It was about two friends and a child who goes missing, and her one mistake, because one of them is watching the other's child. Not a good situation, of course. Very, very gripping, very scary because you're trying to figure out what happens to the child, but a very good read. The Marriage Lie by Kimberly Bell, again, this was a good one. Fair warning, if you're about to go on a plane, don't read this because there's a lot about plane crashes in this. That's really creepy. Basically, the wife, who you're reading her perspective, and she gets a call saying that her husband was on a plane that crashed, except he told her he'd be on a different plane. So she doesn't know why he was on this other plane and he's crashed on, like, she's just so shocked. Like, it's all these lies in her marriage that she's going back to. What Never Happened by Rachel Housel Hall. I read this last month and highly recommend it. Definitely slow burn. My only critique is maybe cutting down like 30 or 40 pages. I feel like there was a bit of filler or fluff that could have been trimmed. But you have this main character who's an obituary writer. She goes back to her home island where her family was murdered when she was a child. She was the only survivor, and she now notices a pattern that suggests there could be a serial killer on the island. Super, super interesting. I will definitely be checking out more by that author. I really enjoyed this. The Overnight Guest by Heather Gudenkauf. Definitely highly recommend. This is a chilling winter thriller. We're talking like freezing cold, trapped in the snow, creepy stories from the past. You're going back and forth with multiple points of views, finding a child abandoned in the snow. I mean, it is really creepy. Final Girls by Riley Sager. Again, this one was just good for me. I feel like, yeah, so I have, what do I have, Middle of the Night here. Actually, I think this one deserves a higher spot. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Honestly, I'm a little surprised because I do really like Riley Sager. I loved The Only One Left. I don't know if I have that in here. Maybe I missed it. That one I would say highly recommend. I loved Lock Every Door. That was a wow for me. But these two were just, they were good. I'm glad I read them. I thought they were fun mystery thrillers. I thought they were enjoyable. The Final Girls is all about these girls who are the only survivors of these brutal crimes that were committed against them and like a group of people, but they were the only survivors, and now it seems like someone might be after them. So really, really good premise. I really liked that. Missing White Woman. This one, I wanted to love it. I really did, but I'm gonna say my biggest issue with this one is that it lagged so much in the second half. Like, I just wanted a little bit of movement with the plot, and I felt like nothing was really happening. I felt like it was very repetitive the second half. I feel like the setup was amazing. We basically have this young woman who comes downstairs to find this young woman's body in her kitchen, and she is the missing white woman that the news has been giving all of this attention to, and discusses, of course, the idea of like missing white woman syndrome as well. And she has no idea what's happened. Her boyfriend has disappeared, who she was staying with. So a fantastic premise in so many ways, but the pacing didn't do it for me. The lag, I just lagged so much the second half of that book. Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. I'm gonna say highly recommend. Very, very creepy, very intense. Like, the ending was just one of those endings that you will still remember. The ending is one you won't forget. This is definitely very insane, but it's about a mother whose teenage daughter had disappeared when she was, I don't know, like 16 or so. She disappeared. She's never seen her since then. The mother is trying to get her life back together, and then she starts dating a man who has a daughter who looks eerily like her daughter, and she's wondering if he's telling her the truth in all things. It's really creepy. What Have We Done by Alex Finley. This is the only Alex Finley I haven't really, really loved. I actually DNF'd this about 100 pages in. It's about these friends who did something many years ago, covered it up, or didn't fully confess to something that happened. We're reading their perspectives and jumping around perspective to perspective in the future because things are starting to catch up to them. But there was 3 points of views, at least to the point that I was reading, and 2 of the characters I had no interest in at all. Like, I really couldn't have cared less about their story, so I ended up putting it aside. The Second Mother, I also DNF'd. This is about a woman who's moving to an island with her dog, and a lot of creepy things happen on the island, but we never got to those creepy things. All it talked about was her move to the island and like her dog, and like this is supposed to be a thriller, not a cozy mystery, and there was like no plot movement, and I was just really bored. So yeah, I didn't love that. She's Not Sorry by Mara Kubica. I actually didn't have that as well. I was so shocked. This one involves a patient who's in a coma and like a nurse and this like kind of interesting like hospital ward and what actually happened to the patient in the coma, and I don't feel like I'm explaining that great, but I didn't love it. I felt like there were so many medical details that again kind of bogged the story down for me, and I just wasn't that interested, unfortunately. The Guilt Trip by Sandy Jones, I'm going to say that was a very good read for me. It's about friends who are going to a destination wedding, past secrets are coming out, that sort of thing. I very much enjoy that sort of plot, and this was a really fun, fast-paced, very summery read. So it seems we've saved all our DNFs for the end. Too Good to Be True was just F for me. It was fine. I gave it 2 stars. I finished it. The first half was excellent. It was so fast-paced and interesting. Secrets are coming out about this couple that were trying to get together. Very much centered around romantic relationships and being too good to be true. And the second half and the twist just fell so flat for me. The Love of My Life by Rosie Walsh, I DNF'd that. This also featured an obituary writer, and I was really excited about that. And this woman who's hidden a lot of secrets from her husband over the years, who is the love of her life, and yeah, he kind of finds those secrets out as he writes her obituary, because she might be dying, and that's kind of his way to cope, I guess. Great premise, super interesting. I had just no interest in it, really. It wasn't good for me. All Is Not Forgotten, this was good. This one, I will warn you, extremely intense, very focused on like essay, a young woman who has gone through that horrible experience, unfortunately. Her speaking with like a psychologist, her mom trying to hide it because it's a small town and she cares about the reputation, her dad who wants revenge. Very interesting family dynamics. I really thought that was a good one. A little bit more mystery and character study, but very interesting and engaging, so I would still recommend it. The next one we have is Not That I Could Tell, and again, this is billed as a thriller. It's about these 3 women who like kind of get together one night, tell secrets. One of them's an ex-wife, and one of them ends up like going missing, I believe, and I DNF'd it about halfway through. It just was more like neighborhood drama. It didn't really feel like the plot was picking up, and I wasn't loving it, so I ended up putting that one aside. And then we're going to finish on a strong note though. The Breakdown by B.A. Paris, absolutely phenomenal. Behind Closed Doors is probably my favorite from them, but I am going to put this in WoW because honestly, B.A. Paris does psychological thrillers so incredibly well. This is about a young woman who is driving home to her husband one night, and she goes down the road that her husband didn't want her to go down, and she sees a woman who's pulled over, and the next morning she finds out that woman was murdered and her car was still there, and she feels bad that she didn't pull over. She starts going through like kind of a psychological breakdown. Fascinating read, absolutely fascinating. Alright, so this is our, let's see how we feel about this. This is our final thing. So I have 2 rows in the DNF disliked, 1 row in the I am happy to see that most of the books I read are in the top 3 tiers, because that means that I did enjoy them or really, really enjoy them, so that's a good thing to see. And I mean, some of these are repeat authors. Like we have Catherine Ryan Howard here twice, B.A. Paris here twice, a lot of Alex Finley, which was mostly very successful. Lisa Unger, Greer Hendricks, and Sarah Pecknow are big repeat ones, so I know that kind of, because I was reading from authors I knew I'd love, that definitely bulked up, I think, some of these top sections. But overall, I'm really happy about this. If you guys enjoy this video style, let me know. These videos are a little intimidating to get all of the pictures and things for. Definitely take a little bit more time with the editing, but I think they're really fun because you can visually see the breakdown and kind of get quick reviews. So let me know if you enjoyed this. I hope you did, and if you enjoy this type of video, if you enjoy thrillers mysteries, whether that's cozy mysteries, murder mysteries, or thrillers. I talk about everything involving mysteries and thrillers on my channel, and I post new videos every week. So if you enjoy this video, please hit subscribe. I am Amy Marie, and I talk about this every week on my channel. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will also link my thriller recommendations video above if you want more thriller content to check out. Thanks again for hanging out with me, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!